Hello. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome.
We're so glad that you're here and we're here with another episode, another week, another chat. It's a good vibe.
It is a good vibe.
Although it has been a bit tumultuous for us recently. We've gone through a bit, but we're still here showing up for what's important. So
Yes. And look, it's part of the roller coaster of life.
yeah, that's true. Life is definitely a roller coaster. Actually, so I've been reading Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk. It is amazing. Like 2 pages in, I was like, this is a 5-star read. Amazing. It's just different when someone's lived it, you know? Like they really have some like such value to give and something that I've never like really heard before. Such a great book. But why was I starting to say this?
I do not know.
What were we talking about before?
It's been a wild week. Roller coaster of life.
Oh, yes. He talks about how like a monk way of looking at things is understanding that everything, like it's like a whole journey. It's not just like one moment separate from the next moment. So like if you have a downtime, it's because that's going to lead to an even better like uptime kind of. And how like if you looked back at the story of your life, it makes for like a better story. Like your life is a whole journey. It's like a whole movie, you know, but when you're sitting in one moment and it's like kind of tough, sometimes it's hard to like remove yourself. But he says that when you kind of reach that mindset, that elevated mindset, you can be in that down moment and be grateful for it because you know it's leading to something better.
Yes.
I mean, he says it a lot more eloquently than I just did.
No, like I completely agree, but you know, I'm in that slump at the moment and it's really hard.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself, I'm like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I can, you know, it's going to be so much better. You know, it's like you can't appreciate the sun without the rain and, you know, like all those kind of sayings or whatever they are. So like I completely respect it. But I think like living in the moment right now,
it's so hard.
it's hard.
Well, I think back to when I was like a few months ago before we started season 3 of the podcast, and I was just absolutely hating life. I was so down about like everything, and I felt so lost, and I felt so like lack of purpose, and I didn't, you know what to do or how to fix it. And I kept telling myself like it's not going to feel like this forever. But that's that whole like change isn't just uncomfortable. Like it really sucks. Like
Yeah.
it really hurts. Like if you're going through like a big change, like it is painful. And now I'm like, other side, yes, Jay Shetty, so wise. But the challenge will be the next time I'm more in one of those slumps. And I mean, like I'm having the, you know, everyone has kind of like the week to week ups and downs, but not like a big, you know, when like you're in a big season of that uncomfortable change. It's just it's very, very challenging. Yeah. Also, right, so okay, you remember last episode?
Yes.
I was like, was it last episode where I was waiting for a sign, or was that the one before?
Might have been the one before, actually.
One of the episodes I was waiting for a sign.
And you were like, it hasn't come yet.
Well, okay, so I like drew cards and it literally answered the question exact, and I was like, oh my god. I was telling Jackson, and he's like a bit like, cool.
That's nice, dear.
Not super into the world like I am, but I was like, wow, thank you, universe. Like it was sort of like I felt like a stop asking, like here's the answer, like don't ask again. I was like, okay. But I've been like feeling my intuition a lot more. And so like I was like thinking about weird coincidence after I read Fern Cotton's Bigger Than Us book. She talks about some weird stuff that happens to her, and I was like, cool. And then I started thinking about stuff like that in my life, and I was like driving, and you know when you're driving and you're like, I feel like you're just wary of the car next to you. Like I was like, is this person gonna pull in on me? Like there was no reason for me to think that, and then they started pulling in me, and because I was already thinking about that, I could sort of, you know not to. And it's like I was like, okay, my intuition is strong. I was like, it is strong. And then there was $160 million lotto.
There was.
On Thursday. And guess who bought tickets? And guess who chose her numbers because her intuition was so strong? And guess who won $10 and almost made back her money?
You did.
I did.
Yes, girl.
That's right. Yeah, or me. So I'm just saying, like, it's obviously not quite up to scratch, but
it's there.
The universe is like, here's a sprinkle of
Sprinkle.
intuition.
Literally. I love that.
Oh, so that's my life.
I love that.
And I graduate on Monday from university, even though I finished ages ago. But I'm very excited.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm very lucky and grateful that I get to have a graduation, because I know a lot of people missed out on that. So, yes, we're living in the gratitude.
Yes.
But today, that's not what we're talking about.
No.
Today we want to talk about, like, making excuses for other people, and, like, why we shouldn't do that, and why maybe we do.
Goodness, we're children.
Why we do that sometimes. So yeah, because last week we talked about friendships and when you kind of get kicked out of your friendship group, and we were reflecting on that episode, and there was a part where we literally were like, oh, maybe we didn't get invited because of this, or maybe they didn't invite us because of that. And we made excuses for them, for people, for what their actions are, which could or could not have been true, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, why did I do that? Why did we do that?
I don't know. I had a turning point this week, and I was like something happened, and I was thinking about it, and I think I don't know why we do it, why you think about it. Maybe it's like, I don't want to be not self-aware. Maybe that's what it is. Like, I want to make sure that I hold myself accountable for my actions. So I think about maybe what I could have done better in terms of whatever the situation is, or where I lacked, which then stopped them doing what they should have done.
That's like a step further. So it's not even making excuses. You blamed yourself.
Yeah, but by blaming myself, I was making an excuse for them.
Yeah.
I was excusing them of their poor behavior,
but you're blaming
but I was
yourself
blaming myself for it.
on top of that. Because I
Yeah.
feel like you can make excuses for someone and be like, maybe they were just tired, and it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's an even trickier. Like, but
But yeah, like your example last week was maybe they invited me and I didn't check the Facebook group.
yes, that was my
You know, or a Facebook event or whatever. Like, you shouldn't.
maybe I didn't know. Maybe
I didn't know. Yeah.
Maybe it was on me. Or I also made the excuse of maybe I neglected the relationship first.
Yes.
And I think there's like merit in questioning this kind of stuff, because you don't want to go around being the victim and being like, everyone sucks. But also, there's no need to keep throwing ourselves under the bus.
Correct.
Because why is it? And also, like, something that came to my attention sort of semi-recently is that when you do make excuses for someone else, or you blame yourself, or, you know, you justify other people's actions, it takes away some of the like merit in the other person, because they might have a reason, and you're like literally like you don't know, like you can't, like when you do that, it sort of detracts from the actual moment.
Well, that's right. Like you're writing a story for someone else, basically, and or putting some words in someone else's mouth. Like, I hate when people put words in my mouth.
But I do it so often. Actually, I try not to now. But I realized it was the way that I fight, quote unquote fight. Like when I discuss something with somebody in a heated way, or I have, like when I am upset about what someone's done, I don't say, hi, why do I say, I always start, hi, everything, all the time. Hi. I say, what you did, or when you did this, it upset me, because that is something, that's a good way to sort of say something sometimes. But I will always say, when you did this, even though I think you might have been doing it for this reason, and I do that, like, because I want, the person that I'm talking to not think that I'm not, like, because
Not considering their
like,
side.
when you're talking to someone you care about, I don't want to, you know, talk to you and be like, you know, what you did was so, I don't know, it hurt my feelings. What mean, which
You really upset me.
right? And it's like, I almost feel like I don't want to make you think that you've done something mean.
Yes.
I don't want to upset you by being upset. But it's like, oh.
It defeats the purpose, guys.
Yes, because I think I'm still learning that this is a challenging one. I'm still learning that I'm allowed to upset people. And
yes.
while I don't ever intend to or try to,
you can't control
yes,
their reaction to you and what you say. That it's not your responsibility to worry about that.
Yes, and I think I don't know, like it's come from somewhere where I don't think my intention matters as much as how they receive it. And that is such a powerless situation to be in because I can't control how people take things. And it made starting the podcast really challenging for me because even now, like everything I say, like if I'm having a bit of an anxious day, I'll think back and I'll be like, what if this person or someone like this takes it this way or takes it that way? And when you're talking to so many ears and you don't know who's listening, it's so easy. And you see it all the time, this whole cancel culture. And I mean, some people say mean things, but it's like, it is scary to say anything, let alone someone that you care about, but like on a platform where it could be taken wrong. And I'm having to learn to release that because I can't control how people take my words, and it's just anxiety inducing when I think that that's what I need to do.
Yeah, it's just negative for you, and like apologies, Simba would like to say hi. It's I can't deal. I can't. I can't deal.
Anyway.
Hold a minute.
Brief intermission.
That's better. There we go.
Hello.
We back. Apologies for the brief intermission.
Apologies. I feel like several snap. I love that. I don't remember what we were talking about.
Neither. Probably had something really profound to say as well.
Probably the wisdom was coming out. Making excuses, finding it really hard. Oh, caring what other people think, like on the podcast and stuff.
Oh yes.
Do you struggle with that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah,
like,
for sure.
I don't know. If you haven't ever, put stuff out into the world like we are, I think a good way, another similar experience where I feel like this is if I drink and then, excuse me.
It's a Friday, guys.
Oh, give us a break.
It's Friday afternoon. This is late for us to be recording a podcast.
Yeah, we don't usually.
We never leave it this late.
This week has been a whole ordeal.
An ordeal. That's a good expression.
But when I drink, I get like, you kind of lose a little bit of control.
Yeah.
And sometimes you say like a little bit more what you mean and less polite or like less minced words come out, and then the next day I get the chemical imbalance of I get the anxiety, and then I think about all the things I said and I'm like, what if they thought of it this way? But you know what, we're working through it, and that's why we're talking about this, because it's again, like, predicting how other people took your words is very similar to making excuses for them, because you're deciding what someone else thinks when you don't know. And it's not you don't have the right to do that, really.
No, you don't. And if the other person has done the wrong thing, why are you giving them an out?
Yes.
Sorry.
And I know that there's the two sides to every story, but it's not your responsibility to defend both sides all the time.
No, exactly.
Like, it's good to have insight and like be mindful and be aware. But
yes.
But sometimes people do the wrong. People do the wrong thing, or hurt you, and just like maybe they didn't intend to do that, but again, while you should care more about how you intend things than other people receive them, you should care about, like, you're allowed to feel the way you feel, and you don't always have to be worried about other people's intentions, because unless they tell you, you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
And then I think it's always nice if something's happened and you talk to someone and they apologize saying, my intention was not to hurt you.
Yeah.
Then, you know, it's different. You're like, okay, well, I know your intention, whatever. But if it's just like, we do it so often to people that don't deserve it. Like, apologize for them.
100%. Not even apologize, but like
Make excuses.
Make excuses and give them reasons and outs as to why it's okay for whatever reason, whatever this situation is, or blah, blah, blah. But, sorry, at the end of the day, sometimes someone's actions are uncalled for,
yes.
unjustified, and sometimes people are just mean. Sorry.
Yes, and sometimes people just suck, and sometimes people have a lapse in judgment and just do sucky things, and we've all done that. But there are some people out there that, and it's hard. I feel like I sound very pompous right now. It's hard to imagine people not having pure intentions, because we go around this world. Bless you.
Thanks. Sorry.
Like, never trying to hurt anybody, you know?
Oh, 100%.
So, or really caring about other people and how our actions and words affect other people, but not everyone is like that.
No way.
And some people are really selfish, and some people are still in their self-development phase, or they haven't discovered it yet, and that doesn't mean people will be like this forever, but here I am making excuses again.
Yeah.
It's just, and also, how much energy are you wasting making up these imaginary excuses that you don't know if they're real or not for other people that do not matter, and it's not going to benefit you or them? Making these, like, it's much better to, especially if it's like kind of not someone that's significant in your life, it's good to just feel your feelings, even if they are significant, but feel your feelings and just allow yourself to feel however you feel and process that. Like, take your energy back to working on you rather than, I don't know, because maybe I do it to try and make myself feel better and be like, they didn't mean it like that, but it doesn't make you feel better.
No, not at all, because like in this one particular situation, I made an excuse for the other person as to why they didn't help me, and I was like, maybe it's because I didn't ask for it properly. Maybe it's because I wasn't clear enough when I asked that I needed help, right? And I understand and I appreciate that you can't read other people's minds and you can't guess. Well, you can guess. Let's be real. You can guess and have an idea.
I like that. You can guess.
You can guess. But I was like, maybe I am to blame. But I'm not solely to blame, and that's the difference. And I reflect on this situation and I look at it and I'm like, I do learn a lesson for myself for next time, is to put up my hand a little earlier and be a bit louder, because I am a battler and I will stick it out and I will try and figure it out on my own if I feel like the other person doesn't want to help me, especially, right?
Exactly.
But when they don't help me and everything kind of falls apart, it's not solely on me. And I think the reason why I really struggle with this is because as a person, I always put others first. I never put me first. So in my head, I'm like, how can they not see that I'm struggling? How can they not think about the situation of what has occurred and not be like, hey, they probably need help, I should just ask? You know, some people, you got to hit them in the face with a brick to get them to see what you need. Some people are just, there's a brick wall in front of them that they may as well have their eyes closed and their ears covered, do you know what I mean? Because they can't see it outside, like they've got to be told. And I make the excuse of like, maybe that's what they're like, and I'm like,
I mean,
partially warranted, maybe.
No. I know the whole situation, and no. This person knew clearly what was going on and
exactly
didn't want to inconvenience themselves.
Yeah.
even though it was like not only the right thing to do, but also their responsibility. And they just, you know, because when there's someone like you, that the other person can easily palm off stuff and let you take the brunt of whatever it is and get away with an easier life. And some people just look for the easy outs. Some people, like, that's their whole thing. All their motivation is, how can I make life easier for myself, rather than you putting other people first.
Yeah.
And I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you said you take something out from this, and it's the lesson maybe to be a little louder. Do you think that there is a lesson in this to maybe, like, put yourself first?
You know what? That should have been the first lesson, to be completely honest.
Well, they say you keep having the same situations to learn the same lessons until you learn them.
Correct.
Maybe the world... Because you can be better for other people when you take when you take better care of yourself.
Yes, and I completely back that. And the thing is, though, yes, I feel like I am in a position where in certain situations in my life, I do put myself first, and I've gotten way better at that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
it's still hard, but yes.
It's still hard.
It's a challenge thing. It shouldn't be challenging, but it's such a challenging thing to do.
Yeah, it is. But work is probably one place where I haven't, because I don't know, I want people to like me. I want to make... I don't know what the reason is. I really...
you want to be a good good employee, a good worker. You want to be a good part of the team. And
correct.
It's just the way we've gone through school, you know, the respect and the, you know, like, don't inconvenience anyone. And
yeah, I don't want to be an inconvenience. That's probably what it is.
And also, yeah, that's probably the biggest thing for me too. And like, you got to prove yourself. And for me, it's always the inconvenience thing. Like, other people are like, I don't want to. But it shouldn't be like that, because it should be a team. And also, I feel like if you saw someone struggling, you would say, do you need help?
Yeah. And I do. Like my team, they are, like, I know they've got a lot on, and when they're talking to me about something, I'm like, do you need any help from me? Like, I'm already drowning and, like, almost like weeks behind in workload, but I still want to make sure that they're okay. Do you know what I mean? And you know what, though? I think part of that is because it's like the saying that the strong person also needs someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, I'm the person that's always there for everyone else.
Yeah, it's like, but who takes care of you? And you're like, I do. Like
exactly. That exact situation, which is what was happening and what will probably continue to happen at the moment. You know what I mean? And that happens throughout life. And I've always put it down to the fact that I'm independent, and I have had experiences in my past where I can't rely on people, and I've learnt to just rely on myself. It's just easier to do it myself, right? But it has definitely bitten me in the backside this time around.
I was gonna say, like, do you think there is, like, objectively do you think you made it clear enough that you needed or wanted some help? Yeah, you did. See, that's a good.
But yes and no.
I love those. So
I also wasn't given the opportunity.
And that's the whole, like, that's not your responsibility to create that opportunity, because of the whole, just how workplaces work. Like, you should have been given that opportunity, and then you could have, because again, when you hint or you sort of say, like, like, hey, like, this is kind of hard. I have, like, this is a bit challenging. And then somebody makes it seem like, don't talk to me with that. I have too much of my own stuff. That's too much of an inconvenience. Then... Like, you can't go back, because it's like, well, I already know that you're not going to help me.
Exactly. And it's something I strive for in my team, that I'm never not approachable.
And I think that's such a great quality, and it's a shame how many people get ahead in life who more think about, or less team players, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well.
In a team, you know, and they're like team leaders, but they're not team players. And I think that eventually, or at least I hope, you know, the people doing the right thing and, you know, trying to be helpful and fulfill their role well will go further. But I don't know. You never know what. I have another thought. Do you think any of this has to do with the fact that, like, you're a woman, and as women I feel like we're raised to be pleasant and to not make a fuss, and also in any kind of professional role, I feel particularly your industry wasn't very, not that like, you know, not hugely women, and so to like you have to be very like tough, and you have to be able to handle it all, and it's like you have to work twice as hard to show that you can do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, is that like part of the reason why we just we make excuses for other people, but we always expect more from ourselves?
Correct. Yeah, definitely. And it kind of got to the point, like, I was talking to someone about it, and it was like they were reflecting on their own experiences in their past, and they were like, you know, all of a sudden it's like whack-a-mole, like just putting out fires, you know what I mean? That's kind of what it was like, because everyone was like, can you do this? And you're like, yes, I can. And then all of a sudden that one pops up and you're like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I got to. And it was like, I was like, people will be like, how's your workload? I'm like, I've got a lot on, I won't lie. They're like, okay, cool, can you do this? Yeah, I can.
Why'd you say yes?
And you know what was really funny? Like, one of my, I don't know if they're goals. Yeah, probably, I don't know. It wasn't like an official goal for like in my workplace, but my manager was like, my old manager said to me, he's like, you've got to learn to say no. He's like, as one of the biggest things in this industry is sometimes you have to push back, and you've got to know when to push back, right? And you know what was really interesting? I utilized that probably 2 weeks ago, and I was already like pretty much at breaking point. Like, I was drowning in work and stress, and someone came up to me and they were like, hey, like, are you doing this? And I was like, sorry, I don't know anything about it. No, I'm not. They're like, oh, do you want to do it? And I was like, no. To be completely honest, no, I don't, because it sounds like a lot of work and I don't have any capacity. And their initial straight back response was, oh, but come on, Danny, like, you're a team lead, like, show up, you know, take one for the team. And I was like,
far out. I moved. And
I was like, and what do you expect me to do? Like, are you going to take some of my other work off me so I can do it? Like, I already got a full week. Sorry. Like, you're not a manager. Like, you're asking me to do it because you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. That's not fair to put the guilt and it's guilt, isn't it, realistically? Yeah. On me to pick it up for the team when we're in different teams.
And also, like, if you're part of a team and then one of your team members is like, actually, I can't do that, I don't have the capacity for it, it's like, you should be like, okay, we'll figure it out. Or
exactly,
you know, because if nobody had the capacity to do it, then you would all split it, whatever. Like, you would do a portion of it, but
correct,
like, you know that you had more work than other people.
Yes.
And I feel like it's the people that want to push off the work even when they don't have too much on are the ones that assume you're doing it, and they assume everyone else is doing it. So they look at you and they're like, come on, Danny, like, you should pick this up. But in reality, they just probably don't know how much you're actually doing, or they don't care, or I'm making excuses again.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But the thing that really annoyed me is like, I practiced the saying no, and it was like that it wasn't the right answer, and I was shamed for it.
Maybe there's a lesson in that though, how you have to like saying no is hard, but that's not even like the end of the battle.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
But you still got to do it.
Still got to do it.
And like, it's going to take practice, because it's going to be hard every time.
And don't cave. I didn't cave. I don't know what they were doing, but it didn't get passed to my team, and I'm very grateful for that now. But
the thing is, like, you were pushed to breaking point before you felt like you were able to say no.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like the whole like young hustle corporate life culture is very harsh, toxic and not okay, and it's so common. And it's like, no wonder so many people don't want to work in corporate anymore, and they're like, oh, so many people are leaving their jobs. It's like, well, to be honest, it's not a great place to be.
Yeah, that's why so many of us burn out.
Yeah, and it's like, the whole mental health discussion is starting, but it's still seen as a joke in most workplaces, I feel, or the experience that I've had in courses preparing for professional life. They take it seriously, and then you go to a workplace and it's like, well, just suck it up. You don't have COVID, come into work. Like,
Yep.
I couldn't imagine telling a boss or anybody that I took mental health leave
Neither.
or stress leave. I couldn't imagine. Like, I would rather fake a migraine.
Yep.
And that's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
That's not how it should be, but
And us by doing that isn't changing the system either. I 100% recognize that, but at the same time, you pick your battles, and I don't want to be treated differently at work. I don't want to be ridiculed at work. I don't want them to be like, oh, nah, she can't handle it.
Yeah, and you miss legitimate opportunities that you should be given because you get like a negative mark against your name. And like, I mean, you know, we don't know if everyone's like, all workplaces are all like managers or people are like this, but it still feels very common and very stigmatized. And I think while like I've never been sort of in a situation where I would have to raise that, but that's because I actively remove myself before it gets to that point, because I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that or taking that.
Don't stop again.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why.
Look, we're having camera issues. To the point where it won't even record.
I don't remember what we were saying.
Me neither.
Something about bosses. Oh, mental health leave. But even just, so while, you know, maybe we don't feel comfortable talking about it in workplaces yet, and that's okay if you're not comfortable, but having the discussion here is still helpful.
Definitely.
But
I think the it is changing though.
Yes.
I think it is changing. And to be honest, it could be... I sometimes wonder whether it's the fear, the internal, your own fear about how people are going to react, when in reality, like, they could be really good about it. Do you mean because you've heard stories or in what it was like in the past? But, like, I mean, I've spoken to some people at my workplace and they're really good about it.
Yeah, I guess it is, again, the whole trap of assuming what other people think. It's assuming what was going through their mind, making excuses for them, assuming how they'll react, when in reality we don't know that, and we don't really have the right to do that, because I don't really appreciate it, as you said at the beginning, when somebody does that to me. I don't want people to put words in my mouth, or, you know, so it's like, maybe give people the benefit of the doubt if you feel comfortable, and stop making excuses for other people, because honestly it takes too much energy. You don't know, and it's not really any of your business unless they tell you. Just sit in how it feels for you, and like own that, and like give yourself the space and the time and the energy to process what you need to process.
Yeah. Like what do you achieve out of
just
it?
Self-doubt, or
anxiety
is invalidate, is that the word?
Invalidate yourself. Yeah,
exactly.
Your own feelings.
You just completely invalidate it. And that's, you don't deserve that. You deserve to feel how you feel.
Yeah.
Is that about it?
I think so.
Thanks for hanging out with us in this episode. It's been a bit of a mess, but
it has been a mess.
A hot mess.
Ooh, like our week.
Yeah, it'll be fun trying to stitch this together in the editing process, but we will do our best. We're still showing up, and we're so glad you're here with us. And we can't wait to chat with you again next week.
Yes. Thank you to all our listeners, both nationally and internationally. Thanks for being here. We love you.
Yes.
And yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening in.
There's absolutely no pressure to do this, but if you're happy to share the podcast with your friends or on your socials and tag us at Pierced Off Pod, that would be amazing.
You can also leave us a stellar 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on if you're feeling extra motivated today. It really does help us out so much, but ultimately, we are just beyond grateful that you're here.
You are also more than welcome to come and hang out with us on our other socials. All of our links are in the description.